Farmers from Punjab and Haryana, led by the Sanyukt Kisan Morcha non-political and Kisan Mazdoor Morcha, are protesting around Delhi with 12 key demands. One of the main demands of the farmers is to implement the recommendations of the Swaminathan Committee report, which includes a formula for the minimum support price for crops. In this video, let's take a close look at what was the Swaminathan Committee, what were the reports it submitted, and what are the demands of the farmers. In 2004, the central government set up the National Commission of Farmers, headed by agricultural scientist M.S. Swaminathan, who's commonly known as the father of the Green Revolution because he rose to prominence for developing high-yielding varieties of rice and wheat. This NCF had a wide mandate, from developing a strategy for food security in the country and promoting sustainable agriculture in local bodies to increasing credit flow to farmers. The committee submitted a total of 5 reports over 3 years, in December 2004, August 2005, December 2005, April 2006, and October 2006. The final report highlighted a series of causes for farmers' distress, which was leading to agrarian suicides. This included unfinished land reforms, water availability, access to credit, and the opportunity to market their products. These were also the areas in which the committee suggested reforms in the form of a draft national policy for farmers, which was reworked by the then government and implemented in 2007. This national policy for farmers, implemented by the then agricultural minister Sharad Pawar, did not include all the measures that were suggested by the Swaminathan Committee. Writing about the commission and its report in 2016, 10 years after submitting the final report, M.S. Swaminathan said that the problem now seems to be a total lack of implementation. One of the biggest suggestions that the Swaminathan Committee had given was a way to calculate the minimum support price, or the MSP, which is announced by the government for around 23 crops every year. The price, according to the Swaminathan Committee's reports, should be calculated as 50% more than the weighted average cost of production of the crop. This would ensure viable returns to the farmer. The cost of production was defined by the Swaminathan Committee as C2, and it included the total actual cost of producing the crops, and it also included the imputed rent on the land owned by the farmer, as well as the imputed interest on any fixed capital owned by the farmer. So this MSP formula then came out to be C2 plus 50. The then UPA government did not implement this formula to calculate the MSP, stating in a Lok Sabha reply in 2010 that the formula might be counterproductive. The union budget in 2018 and 19 under the NDA government made a historic announcement that to honor the Swaminathan Committee's prescribed formula on MSP, it would fix the MSP at 1.5 times the cost of production. However, the NDA government's method of calculating the cost of production was not using the C2 formula that the committee had initially recommended. Instead, the government's calculation of the cost of production was termed as A2 plus FL, which stood for an average cost of production A2 and an imputed cost of family labor FL. It did not take into account the ascribed rent of owned land or of capital. Back in 2019 and now in 2024 again, farmers are still demanding to implement the original formula of the Swaminathan Committee reports. Agricultural economist Ashok Gulati, however, says that increasing the MSP is not a sustainable solution. The historically high MSP and government procurement of paddy and wheat in Punjab and Haryana has raised the farmers' expectations, writes Gulati in the Indian Express. The real issue is to augment farm incomes without much risks, he says. On the non-implementation of the Swaminathan Committee reports, Gulati writes that any rational policymaker would avoid that route, which is exactly what Manmohan Singh and his team did. The Swaminathan Committee also had recommended overarching land reforms, like distributing wasteland to farmers and preventing the takeover of farmland by corporates and the development sector. It also had specific recommendations like creating a land use advisory service that would help make decisions on land use by providing meteorological, ecological, and market-related inputs. Given the high rates of farmer suicides on the backdrop of the committee's reports, it suggested affordable health insurance and state-level organizations that would listen to the farmers' concerns. In the National Policy of Farmers, adopted in 2007, several of the recommendations were taken into consideration and actually implemented. These include a focus on rainwater harvesting and a development of groundwater resources, support for livestock and fisheries with a focus on ecological factors, and the development of agricultural research and bioengineering for seeds and soil health. The Swaminathan Commission's report, according to Swaminathan, was based on the principle that agricultural progress should be measured not only in statistical terms, but it should also take into account the human dimension of farming. For more such news analysis, tune into The Print.